You ever have one of those mornings where you wake up, check your phone for just a second, and then suddenly it's 11:30 a.m., you're slightly anxious, and somehow the day already feels lost? And what's weird is nothing bad happened. You didn't overspend, you didn't make a terrible decision, you didn't fail at anything. You just wasted the morning. And here's the thing most people never connect. Those mornings aren't just killing your productivity, they're quietly killing your financial growth. Look, nobody tells you this, but wealth isn't destroyed by big mistakes. It's destroyed by tiny, repeatable patterns that feel harmless in the moment. Sleeping in, scrolling, starting later, telling yourself you'll be focused after lunch. Because on paper, that doesn't sound like a money problem. It sounds like a motivation problem, but it's not. It's a financial one. My name is Theo, and I spend way too much time thinking about how people make money decisions without realizing it. If you're someone who feels behind financially, knows you should be doing more, but somehow keeps starting your days late and stressed, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Now, here's what most people believe. If I work hard enough later, I'll catch up. If I put in more hours at night, it balances out. If I'm still young, mornings don't really matter yet. That belief is comfortable, and it's completely wrong. Because mornings don't just decide how productive your day is, they decide the quality of decisions you make with money. Let me explain. There's a well-documented concept in behavioral economics called decision fatigue. Researchers from institutions like Princeton and Harvard have shown that your brain has a limited supply of high-quality decision-making energy each day. In one famous study, judges were far more likely to approve parole cases early in the morning and far more likely to deny them later in the day, even when the cases were similar. Same judge, same evidence, different time of day. Now, apply that to money. When you waste your morning, you're not just losing time. You're burning your best mental bandwidth on nonsense, and that has consequences. According to data from the American Psychological Association, people experiencing higher daily stress are significantly more likely to make impulsive financial decisions. Things like overspending, delaying investments, or avoiding financial planning altogether. Here's what that looks like in real life. You wake up late, you rush, you feel behind. So instead of calmly reviewing your finances, you avoid them. Instead of planning long-term, you chase short-term relief. And instead of asking, what's the best decision, your brain asks, what's the easiest decision? That's how wealth leaks out. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's do some simple math, not fancy finance math, just reality math. Say you waste 2 hours every weekday morning, scrolling, lying in bed, drifting around. That's 10 hours a week, about 520 hours a year. Now, most people hear that and think, okay, whatever, it's not like I'd be grinding the whole time. But here's the problem. Mornings are disproportionately valuable hours. Multiple studies in cognitive science show that analytical thinking, self-control, and long-term planning peak in the early part of the day for most people, which means those 520 hours aren't average hours, they're premium hours. Let's say, conservatively, that if you use just one of those morning hours productively, you could build a skill that increases your income by $5 an hour within a year. That's not crazy. That's learning a marketable skill, freelancing, improving your primary job performance, or building something on the side. $5 an hour times 520 hours equals $2,600 a year. Now invest that annually at a modest 8% return for 30 years. That single habit costs you over $300,000 for mornings you didn't even remember. And that's the low-end scenario. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I'm not trying to be rich. I just want to be comfortable. That's exactly why this matters. Because wasted mornings don't just limit upside. They lock you into average outcomes. Here's what most people don't realize. Wealth is built during calm, intentional moments, not chaotic ones. Nobody builds a financial plan when they're rushed. Nobody invests consistently when they're mentally exhausted. Nobody thinks clearly about the future when they already feel behind today. Wasted mornings create a constant low-grade anxiety that follows you all day, and anxiety is expensive. A report from the National Bureau of Economic Research found that people under chronic time pressure are more likely to rely on high-interest debt, delay retirement contributions, and avoid complex financial decisions, not because they're irresponsible, but because their brain is overloaded. So, when you waste the morning, you're not being lazy. You're setting yourself up to make financially worse decisions for the next 12 hours. Let me give you a simple analogy. Think of your day like a budget. Mornings are your highest value dollars.
Evenings are loose change. You can technically spend loose change well, but it's harder to build wealth that way. Yet most people do the opposite. They spend their best hours on distraction, then expect discipline later when their brain is tired. That's like blowing your paycheck on Monday and hoping to invest on Sunday. It doesn't work. And this is where psychology quietly sabotages you. When mornings feel wasted, your brain tries to compensate emotionally. You treat yourself later. You rationalize spending because the day was stressful. You put off financial tasks because today was already a mess. This is called moral licensing. The idea that feeling bad or stressed gives you permission to make worse choices later, and mornings are the trigger. Here's a real example. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research showed that people who started their day feeling out of control were significantly more likely to overspend later, even on things they didn't plan to buy, not because they wanted the item, but because they wanted relief. So, when you waste mornings consistently, you're quietly training your brain to associate money with comfort, not strategy. And that's dangerous, because comfort-seeking behavior doesn't build wealth. Now, here's the part nobody talks about. Wasted mornings also destroy something more subtle: identity. Every time you start the day late, rushed, or unfocused, you reinforce the belief that you're someone who reacts to life instead of designing it. And identity drives financial behavior more than income ever will. If you see yourself as not disciplined, you won't invest consistently. If you see yourself as bad with money, you won't optimize. If you see yourself as behind, you'll take shortcuts. And mornings are where that identity is formed, day after day, quietly. Which is why fixing your mornings isn't about waking up at 5 a.m. or becoming some productivity robot. It's about reclaiming the first decision of the day, because that first decision doesn't just shape your mood, it shapes your timing. And timing quietly decides whether your money works for you or whether you keep feeling like you're always one step behind.
And once timing starts working against you, the effects don't show up immediately. They show up as delay. Delay in investing, delay in earning more, delay in taking your finances seriously. And delay is incredibly expensive. Here's why. Financial growth doesn't come from motivation. It comes from timing. And mornings quietly control timing more than almost anything else in your life. Let's talk about investing for a second. Most people don't avoid investing because they hate money or don't believe in it. They avoid it because investing requires calm thinking, delayed gratification, and a willingness to feel uncertain for a while. Those are high-energy psychological states. Now think about how you feel after a wasted morning. You're rushed, you're mentally cluttered, you already feel like you're catching up. So when the thought of investing comes up, setting up an SIP, learning about index funds, reviewing a portfolio, your brain goes, not now. I'll do it later when I have more time. And later rarely comes. According to Vanguard data, one of the biggest predictors of long-term investment success isn't income, intelligence, or even financial knowledge. It's consistency. And consistency is built in routines, especially morning routines. People who invest early in the day are statistically more likely to stick with their plan during market volatility. Why? Because they make decisions before emotion and fatigue take over. This is where it gets really interesting. Wasted mornings don't just delay action, they shift when you interact with money. Instead of proactive money behavior, you end up with reactive money behavior. You check your bank account only when you're worried. You invest only when you feel guilty. You save only after something scares you. That's not strategy. That's emotional damage control. And over decades, that difference is massive. Let me show you something simple. Imagine two people earning the same income. Person A starts investing $200 a month at age 25. Person B waits until 35 because they were busy, figuring things out, or just never felt ready. Person A invests for 40 years. Person B invests for 30 years. At a 7% annual return, Person A ends up with roughly $525,000. Person B ends up with about $245,000. Same income, same effort. One difference: when they consistently showed up. And that delay almost always starts with mornings,
because mornings determine whether money decisions happen automatically or emotionally. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I'm not even at the investing stage yet. I just need to earn more. Fair point. So let's talk about income. Here's something uncomfortable but true. Most income growth doesn't come from working harder. It comes from working earlier on the right things. Skill building, career leverage, business systems. These all require uninterrupted focus, and uninterrupted focus is almost impossible to find once the day gets going. Meetings, messages, requests, mental noise. Researchers at the University of California found that once distracted, it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain deep focus. So if you start your important work at noon, you're not really starting at noon. You're starting at 12:23. Then 12:46, then 1:09. Now stack that across years. People who protect their mornings don't just work more, they compound faster. They learn skills earlier. They negotiate raises sooner. They build side income before burnout hits, which means their money starts working for them while others are still planning to start. This is why wasted mornings quietly lower lifetime earnings, not dramatically, gradually. And gradual losses are the most dangerous kind because you don't feel them happening. Let me tell you a short story. I once spoke to someone in their early 40s. Solid job, decent income, not struggling, but not where they thought they'd be. They said something that stuck with me. I always thought I'd get serious later, but later kept moving. That's the real cost of wasted mornings. They don't ruin your life. They postpone it, and postponement is expensive. Here's what most people don't realize. Your brain treats mornings as a signal. If you start the day intentionally, your brain assumes the future matters. If you start the day passively, your brain assumes survival matters more than growth. And survival mode is terrible for money. Survival mode makes you risk-averse when you should invest. It makes you impulsive when you should plan. It makes you short-term when you should think long-term. That's why people who feel busy all the time often make worse financial decisions than people who feel calm, even if they earn less. Now, let's address the big objection. I'm just not a morning person. Look, that's not the point. This isn't about waking up early. It's about winning the first hour you're awake. You could wake up at 6 a.m. or 10 a.m. The principle is the same. The first hour is when your brain is most programmable. Whatever you do there becomes your mental baseline. Scroll, your brain expects stimulation. Rush, your brain expects chaos. Avoid responsibility, your brain avoids it all day. But if you spend even 20 or 30 minutes on something intentional, planning, learning, reviewing finances, you flip the script. Here's what actually works. First, remove choice. Decision-making is expensive, so don't decide what to do each morning. Have a fixed, boring structure. Wake up, no phone for 30 minutes, sit down, do one money-related action, not 10, one. Check expenses, transfer money to investments, read 5 pages about a skill. Send one email that increases leverage. Small actions done early compound brutally. Second, lower the bar. Most people fail because they try to optimize mornings. Don't. The goal isn't to become disciplined. The goal is to become consistent. 10 minutes beats 0 minutes forever. And third, and this matters more than people think, tie mornings to identity, not outcomes. Don't say, "This will make me rich." Say, "This is what someone who takes their future seriously does." Identity sticks when motivation fades. This is where it all comes together. Wasted mornings don't hurt because of lost time. They hurt because of who they slowly turn you into. They turn proactive people into reactive ones, planners into avoiders, investors into consumers. But the opposite is also true. Intentional mornings don't just improve productivity, they rebuild financial confidence, and confidence changes behavior. When you start the day with control, you're more likely to invest, more likely to delay gratification, more likely to think long-term. And those behaviors, repeated quietly, create wealth, not overnight, but inevitably. So tomorrow morning, don't try to fix your entire life. Just win the first decision. No scrolling, no rushing, one intentional action. Do that consistently and you'll notice something strange. Your finances won't just improve, they'll feel calmer, clearer, less stressful, because you're no longer reacting to money, you're directing it. If this video made you look at your mornings differently, hit the like button. It really helps the channel reach people who need this. And if you want more content that connects psychology, money, and real behavior, subscribe. Because your financial future isn't decided by big moments, it's decided quietly tomorrow morning.
And I'll see you in the next one.